opportunity for me to introduce Stevie Lee to one of my favorite humans from all the way in Oklahoma City, but he's at Cowboys Stadium in Arlington for day one of Big 12 football media days. Stevie, you're a former Longhorn that Mark, I know, covered back in the early 2000s, but while you were doing that, I want to show you a picture, actually two pictures. It's not incriminating at all, but Mark and I were a little younger, and if I can actually pull it up, I swear this is not the first time I've ever done this. Here we go. This is what Big 12 Media Days, and I know this is very compelling. Two great photos of me always interrupting Mark Rodgers and everyone else doing their work on Radio Row. Probably I have zero awareness. I had no respect for their space. But that's Mark and D. Curtis Fitzpatrick, 2 different years. Mark, one thing we've done, we've stood the test of time. The Fountain of Youth in Blackwell, Oklahoma has treated you well.
You're losing weight. I'm finding it. That's not fair. Anyway, you notice I'm working in those pictures, and you're not working. I get the headset on. It's an action shot for me. So, but yeah, we always found a way to have a lot of fun down here, Stevie. It was always good times. I'll try to make sure I bring that attitude to the post-game activities that Sean did.
Hey, Stevie, you and I we need to find a way to go next year because the evening activities are plentiful.
Let's do it. I'm all in.
Actually, we'll be going to SEC Media Days, I guess. So, yeah, I guess so. Mark, tell us.
Which will be even better.
Oh yeah, 100 times better. I guess we got to start, Mark, since you're there. What so far has been maybe the surprise? I know this is all about coach talk, coach speak, cliches. What exactly has been a little bit different for this year for Big 12 football media days?
It started late. Usually it starts at 9 in the morning. Today it started at noon.
No, I heard us being the University of Texas being the picks to win the Big 12, and I'm all for it. We just got to live up to it, man. I think what I see in practice is them the kids gelling together this spring, and they're becoming more of a family. So I think that's one of the things that you have to have to be a great football team, take it to the next level. So we got the talent, we got the size, we got the strength, we got the speed, but coming together as a group and actually gelling together, I think we're on to something.
One of the most interesting things that kind of heard today is Cale Gundy and I, who are working together, we sat down with Sonny Dykes this morning, and they're not picked to be very good in the conference this year. He said that he feels like they have the personnel on offense to be better than they were last year, and that's losing a bunch of guys to the NFL. And he's a really good offensive coach, and I think he knows you've got some people coming in the portal and a quarterback that they picked to be their starter the first game. So I kind of figure, coaches usually aren't going to say those things unless they're pretty confident. It tells me that TCU is probably a team to look out for this year because of that fact. They're going to be able to score. They do have to replace some guys on defense, but they had a pretty special team last year. I think they're going to be pretty good again on offense.
I do too, and I've got to ask you too, because Oklahoma State is kind of in that spot where no one's really sure what, and all the rumors about is Gundy his era run its course. You're up there. I mean, the guy's comfortable, but he still recruits and develops. I mean, is it safe to say that they could be a team that could contend again for the big one of those 2 spots?
Well, they're going to be sneaky good on offense because they did lose players that had a lot of production last year, but they have guys that didn't play last year that I think are going to do a really good job. Talon Shetron was at one time one of the top receivers in the country, rated by ESPN, committed to Oklahoma, then flipped to Oklahoma State. He didn't play a lot last year as a true freshman. Very good receiver due to an injury. Ollie Gordon, big-time recruit that played even Euless in Dallas, that got some time last year that I think has matured a lot this season. So if they can sustain less injuries on the offensive line, then they'll be good there. two players on defense, and they're switching to the 3-3 this season. Colin Oliver looks incredible on the hoof. He's a specimen. Going to get to play a little bit different position this year in the 3-3 at the outside linebacker spot that I think can be one of the best defensive players in the conference. And Kendall Daniels, Oklahoma high school kid, homegrown, 6'5", that can play a position in the secondary where he can run. Those two guys can make a big difference on defense. They're going to have to fill in some spots around them, and that's a concern because OSU's not been really good on defense, with the exception of third down. But those two guys can make a big impact for them this year. And listen, they've not had a losing season since Mike's been the head coach there. I think it would be hard to say that they're going to drop way off this year.
No. And did I hear you right? Did I hear you and Cale Gundy are working together?
That's right. We are. And he's been down here. It's been great. Had some good interviews, of course, with his ability to relate to the coaches and all the relationships that he's built, recruiting and coaching against these guys. We'll get him to come over here and say hi in a second.
Man, he's one of the good guys, for sure. He's definitely one of the good guys. Stevie, I got to tell you this, Mark. Stevie and I were talking 2 weeks ago. And, Stevie, what did you say? I mean, we agree Texas Tech could be sneaky good this year with, and they talk tomorrow. But, Taj Brooks from here, great running back. I mean, Tech they beat Texas, but they were very close in some ways on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, and I also think this, with OU and Texas leaving the Big 12, everyone is going to be gunning for their head. They want to send Texas and OU out with a loss, so against them leaving the Big 12. So it's we're going to get the best of everyone every game this season. And Texas Tech is sneaky good always, and OSU always going to be a thorn in the side. So it's going to be some really good, tough competition this season.
Texas Tech not only beat Texas, but they beat OU. They beat Oklahoma more than they beat in Texas, I think, if you go back and look in the last decade. The thing that is, to me, that stands out the most about Tech is that they got the perfect coach. And when they hired Tommy Tuberville, a guy from Alabama, did not fit the culture. We see what he's doing now in Congress. That does not represent Lubbock, Texas, to me at all.
Not at all.
But Joey McGuire does. Sonny Dykes' dad, Spike, was a great coach at Tech because he fit that. I think it takes kind of a special person to recruit to Lubbock, and the relationships that he has, that Joey has in the Texas high school ranks, allows them to get better players. And right now, if you look at the recruiting rankings for 24, they're number one. I don't think they're going to finish there, but he's been able to get some kids to pay attention. And I can say this on a podcast in Austin. You're going to have to really sell me on going to Lubbock if I could go to Austin. So I think he's just done a great job out there. And if they can win the conference, it'd be a huge step up. But this has been discussed today, too. Oklahoma and Texas haven't been here to play for the championship in the last 2 years. There have been 4 other teams. So it's been a lot of balance in the conference. And maybe this is a year where you see like that arc that Baylor built and TCU built to get to the game, that maybe Tech's on that same trajectory to get here next year. But I think the conference race is really fascinating because there are all kinds of things that can happen and all kinds of narratives with not only Texas, but Oklahoma, but Tech, like we've talked about, Kansas State, who may be disrespected a little bit because they won it last year and have good offensive line and good skill coming back.
I agree. Mark, I'm going to show you something. So when we go to break here, you get to see Stevie Lee. He wears another hat. I think maybe because you're negotiating power, I really believe that you could possibly represent him and be his talent agent after watching this. We'll catch you guys on the other side of this quick break.
Here at Hargrove Roofing, we try to think outside the box to kind of get the creative juices flowing. So I brought in my friend Stevie Lee, former defensive tackle for the Texas Longhorns. He's going to help the team strategize, really motivate them, light a fire.
This guy's going to block down. This guy's going to block down. You put your butt into the guard, and that way my Mike linebacker gets free to do what?
Not only are they going to learn a thing or two, but they're going to also leave with a great attitude and a bunch of smiles on their faces.
I'm sorry, what does this have to do with roofing exactly?
Get out.
Right now.
I said get out.
For me, that's what it's all about. It's just having fun, making our employees have a great time. Hargrove Roofing. Know who's on your roof.
Mark, I think you've got something you can work with. I honestly feel that's a talent that you may be able to represent even north of the Red River.
That was amazing commercial, by the way. Yeah. I don't want to be in that meeting. Yeah, Cale's going to join. We're going to get Cale in here.
Cale, say hi to Stevie Lee,
defensive lineman at Texas, and Sean Clinch.
What's up, man? How you guys doing?
Good. How are you, man?
Sean, how you doing?
Brother, you look good.
Doing great.
You look, you're that fountain of youth in Norman's treating you well.
Hey, I tell you what, when you don't have to spend 18 hours at your job all day long, start enjoying things. You know what I'm saying?
100%. You remember Big Stevie, early 2000s?
Early 2000s, yeah. It's been a while. He looks like he can still play.
No, I don't, man. I got one more play in my knees. That's it.
Hey, one thing, Cale, first off, we were talking about this. I mean, this is cool, man, just to see you on this side of the fence. And the Big 12 newbies, I felt like, Holgerson at Houston. You've got BYU, who's always very physical. UCF, we've seen them on the national scene. Cincinnati, I don't know too much since that playoff team, but do you kind of feel like they were a little disrespected as far as what the media thought?
Oh, I do. There's no doubt. But I think it's going to create a new buzz in the league because, you're going to be playing some new opponents this year that you've never played before.
Right.
And new fan bases, new coaches, new styles. And I'm excited. I think this is going to be a great, great conference. And looking forward to seeing how these new teams come in and evolve. The BYUs, the Houstons, the Cincinnatis, and UCF, which are all good teams. If you look within the last 5 or 6 years, these teams have had unbelievable seasons. They've had some up and downs, but so what? So has everybody else. Look at OU. OU had it down last year. It can happen. Texas has been knocking on the door, and they haven't got there yet. Everybody's still waiting on that to happen. My brother 2 years ago won, 11 games in Fiesta Bowl. Last year, didn't have very good. So it's a challenge, and it's become even more challenging, especially in my opinion, because of the transfer portal. You're bringing in new players. You don't know much about them. You're getting to know them for 2 or 3 days. You bring them on a visit. You get them committed. They come to your school. You don't really have that time to really know what type of people they really are, except for what you see on film. And there's more to it than just what you see on the film.
We talked to Dana earlier, and he said that he didn't have – they were so hit hard by the portal – and he only had 50-some guys in the spring, 55, and so it's a big adjustment. I also think Cincinnati, by the virtue of the coaching change, has got some transitioning that they need to do. The two teams I like the best into the league are UCF. They had an experienced quarterback. I think they're kind of trending a little bit up. They've talked about how much the boost of the Big 12 has helped them in recruiting, and I also like BYU because they got a quarterback that's got a professional arm at Keaton Slovis. But I think that they're all maybe kind of in that group. If I had to – I hate to just drop this on Cincinnati, but I think they're probably the team that fits in at 14 this first year in the league. But yet I don't think they're going to be a pushover.
No. The one thing about Cincinnati is going to bring tough physical players. It's kind of they've always kind of been in their MO and their background, where those players come from up in that Midwest. Very physical, tough players. They'll be very prideful. It'll be challenging. I know OU's got to go play there this year. I don't know if Texas plays them this year. Do they?
No. Texas plays where?
Cincinnati.
I don't know. I don't think so. I gotta ask Stevie one question here. Hey, Stevie, what was it like when you put on a film of OU and saw Adrian Peterson?
Well, I got a story of Adrian Peterson when I was playing football. Short story, make it a long story short, coach called a play where it was a text where the tackle goes down first and the end wraps around, and the tackle is supposed to have contain on the outside. Well, they handed off Adrian Peterson on the side that I was supposed to have contain on. didn't work out like I wanted it to work out. So Adrian was looking at me eye to eye. I'm 6'4", 6'5". He's looking at me eye to eye as I'm trying to hold contain on him and then hit the sidelines and go up the field for about 15 yards. I got in trouble that game. Now I looked at Coach. I'm like, Coach, you put me on contain on Adrian Peterson, man. I'm a fat defensive lineman. I'm going to lose that battle every single time.
AD was 6 foot in socks, but he was 7'5" when he stepped on the football field.
No question, man. No question.
He and DeMarco Murray, next to Bijan Robinson, those are the only 3 running backs in recent history that I've seen that looked like they were ice skating, just gliding.
Yeah.
They were.
He would glide, but he when he hits you, you want to try to hit him, but he's going to hit you first. So he will glide, and then all of a sudden it's a collision at the end.
Oh yeah, AD would be like stepping out in front of a train. I mean, he had some power, some explosiveness, and it's funny you talk about being contained and him ended up running around you. I coached the guy for 3 years, and he did things even you probably told him not to do. He did them anyways because he knew he was just faster and he could do things that he shouldn't have been able to do. And but I tell you, he used to go. I can remember we used to tell our tailbacks to put their toes at 8 yards from the ball. My man used to be at 9.5. And the reason why is because he had no pace whatsoever. He had no pace step. I mean, when that ball was snapped, I mean, he just came downhill right now. And we had to back him up to get him off of those blocks and those combos and stuff so it could happen out in front of him. So very special talent, no doubt.
That's the difference in making you a good coach and a great coach is allowing AD just to do the things that he wanted to do.
Leave him alone.
Let him do his thing.
That's right. Hey, Sean, man, it's great seeing you.
Oh, man, it's been too long. I'm going to come up.
I know we usually connect a little bit on social media every now and then, but how are you enjoying living down south down there?
Man, I love it because it's home. It's weird. It's weird because I fell in love with OKC and that whole area, and Mark Rodgers, he was hazing me constantly, and almost kept me there.
Hey, good seeing you guys, Sean, Stevie.
Good seeing you, my brother. For the Cale Gundy, the Mark Rodgers, the pride of Blackwell, Oklahoma, and the pride of Shreveport, Louisiana. Until tomorrow, episode 2 from Big 12 Football Media Days, the pride of Shreveport being the Stevie Lee. What do we tell him, Stevie?
We out.